Good morning, YouTube. I am Bearded Ink, and today we're going to talk about Speaker.Bot's new update to version 1.5. The current stable release just came out on the 5th, version 1.4 or 14. 15 is in beta and should be released in about a week, maybe less, hopefully. But we're going to cover some of the new additions, new features, and some of the bug fixes that are coming up so that you know exactly what you're getting into and how to use them, because these features are so great. I don't want this to take a whole lot of time because we do have a little bit to get into, but we're going to cover the new feature VoiceGate. We're going to cover UberDuck and their settings, as well as the changelog in Speaker.Bot, so that you know exactly what's coming up and how to make the most out of it. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? All right, so Speaker.Bot here, I have it open already, and you can see that I have my chat here for display purposes. But the biggest change to Speaker.Bot version 15 is the addition of VoiceGate. Now, VoiceGate, what that is going to do is it's going to allow you to use an audio input such as your microphone to help control your TTS. And basically all it's going to do is either pause or play the TTSs that have come through in your chat while you're speaking, for example, or while something else is taking over the audio, so that it doesn't cause an interruption. And it's actually a really great feature, and I really like it, and I want to see more people use it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how to use it and what it does and the settings and all that, because you know that's what we do here. So let me zoom in a little bit here on the tab so you can see where we're going here. So we have Speaker.Bot open. We're going to go ahead and go to the settings tab right here, and then you're going to see down here you have a new tab called VoiceGate. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And then let me move this back up to where everything was originally. So this is what it's going to look like. Let me zoom out. This is what it's going to look like when you first open the new Speaker.Bot with version 15. 14 didn't have the profiles down here. This is a new addition, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to come here and we're going to select our device monitor. Let me zoom in, and we're going to go ahead and follow the mouse along too, so you can just see. So the audio device to monitor, this is going to be the audio device that you want Speaker.Bot to take control of to listen for the volume. Okay, so by default here, it's going to be whatever you have set in the settings that we covered in the full tutorial. But I'm going to go ahead and select my microphone, because that's what I want to control. And then right below that, you see we have the stop here, or the start button. And by default, you're going to have to come in and click this. Now, if you click auto start right here, when you open the bot, it'll automatically start running this, which is what I would recommend that you do. And then all you got to do for the first time is go ahead and click the start button. So what's going to happen now is we got to come over to these three settings, and you're going to have three settings here. And let me stop following my mouse so that we can focus in on these. So you have a pause threshold, which is default at 25%. You have a resume threshold, which is default at 15%. And then your resume wait timeout in milliseconds as default to 5,000 or 5 seconds. So what do these mean exactly, and how do they help you do this? So okay, so what basically what this means, right, is that the pause threshold is what level your microphone has to fall below in order for the pause timer, which is what you see right here in red, to start going down. And then the resume threshold is what the level of your microphone volume has to be for the pause timer to go back up. And then of course the resume wait out time, this is how long it will take you to get from your pause threshold all the way down to 0 on the pause timer here before it unpauses or pauses your TTS. Now, because microphones are different, this is something you're going to have to play around with, but I would start with a pause threshold at about 15%. So we're going to move this slider down to 15 right here. And then the resume threshold is going to be at about 5%. And then I'm going to drop my wait time down to 2 seconds because I don't want to have to wait forever for the TTS to actually start going through again after they've been paused. And 2 seconds is a good enough time. It allows you time to take a breath so you don't feel like you have to talk constantly, especially if you're like welcoming in raiders while the TTS is being put into your chat or something like that. And, you know, that way you can still kind of stop. You can read a message from like whoever rated or whatever and reply to it without feeling like you have to talk constantly or talk loudly. Okay. So let me follow my mouse again, and we're going to go right over here, and I'm going to show you now what we're doing with those settings. Okay. So now let me unfollow. There we go. Okay. So here we have our pause timer. That's this little orange or red bar that you see here. And then we have our volume and then the percentage, as you can see here. Now the pause threshold again, when this volume, when the green bar drops below 15%. So if I'm talking really loud, as you can see, it's staying up above 15 and the pause timer is not really dropping. But if I stop talking, as soon as it drops below 15, the pause timer starts going down. And then as you can see, if I were to wait a full 2 seconds, it will stop. The orange bar will completely disappear. And then if I reach and start talking again and my microphone goes above the 5%, the pause timer comes right back up. So that's what these settings do, is they control the pause timer basically based on the volume or input of the microphone or whatever audio device you have selected here. So what does this all mean? We have it set up, but what the fuck does it actually do? Well, in short, if you have multiple TTSs coming in your chat, the TTS is going to start playing them. And before now, there was no real way other than like scripting something to a button on your Stream Deck or a command in your chat to actually pause the TTS and then play them whenever you wanted. This basically goes by the volume of your voice. So if I zoom out again so you can see my chat again, I have a little button that's going to put up like 4 or 5 little TTS messages in chat. Now, what you're going to notice is while I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and hit the button and you'll see all 4 of them kind of come up in chat, but nothing is going to happen. You're not going to hear the TTS. And so then I will stop talking and you'll see the pause timer will go down and then the TTS will start to read off. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit the button. There's the first message, the second message, the third one, and then we're going to wait. And there's the fourth one. So now if I stop talking, watch the pause timer. You're not going to hear anything until the pause timer hits all the way to 0 and we have that 2-second delay.
Robot Bearded said, "This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test."
So
Had
now
this been
we're
an actual
talking and
emergency, the
you'll
tone you
notice
heard
that the
will be followed by
TTS is
instructions.
still going, but because I'm talking, the third message is not going to be read. But if I were to stop talking again, then we move on to the third message.
This is only a test. So don't freak out. You idiot.
Right. So now that my bot has called me an idiot, you can kind of see how it works. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this again, but we're going to go in like, you know, like we're an actual streamer. So I'm just going to use the same 4 messages and they're going to come in one at a time. But as I'm talking, because my threshold is maintained over that 5%, and I haven't stopped talking or dropped it below that 15% for more than 2 seconds, the TTSs are not being read out. But then I'm playing my game or I'm talking to my chat, I'm saying hello to my raiders or somebody that just subscribed and I'm saying thank you or whatever the case may be, the reason that I'm talking. And I don't want to be interrupted by the TTS, but I also don't want to talk over the TTS. Now that I can see, oh, I have some TTS messages in chat, let me shut up a minute so they can play.
This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a
And
test.
now the second one says,
Has
and I
this
go,
been
oh
an
my God, that
actual
was such a funny
emergency?
dad
The
joke.
tone you
Or, oh my
heard
God,
rather
is
be
this an
followed by
emergency broadcast
instructions.
system message? What's going on? And so I'm talking over the TTS to pause it. But like I said before, and as you notice now, hopefully the second time, once that message has begun to be read, once it starts talking to you, it will not pause in the middle of the current TTS, but it will continue to say that message out loud, and then it will pause again until your threshold meets, and then it will continue on in the queue where it left off.
This is only a test. So don't freak out.
Don't call me an idiot. Oh, you called me an idiot. Okay, so that is basically the voice gate. And again, you can play around with the settings. You can play around with the pause and the resume threshold and the resume wait timeout. And I do recommend that you have a wait timeout of at least 1,000 milliseconds. 2 seems to be pretty good, especially if you're not one of the, like if you're doing a just chatting or whatever scene where you're talking a lot, kind of like I'm doing for this tutorial, then you might want to set it a little bit higher, right? And so that gives you more time to take a breath or to kind of go quiet if maybe you're having a conversation and you want to whisper or something, and you might drop below that threshold for a few seconds. But go ahead and play around with it. And get the settings that work best for you, your microphone volume level and things like that, because you need to make sure that it falls between the pause and the resume thresholds, or else it just won't work. Okay. Currently, if you are running the version 1.4, there is a small issue with the resume wait timeout. So if you have that set to actually 0, it will not work properly, and it can get stuck in a paused loop, which means the TTS basically won't get read at all. But that's why we're pushing out the 15 version. We're currently beta testing it, like I told you earlier, and hopefully that'll be out soon to fix that issue. Another thing that 15 will have that 14 doesn't have is this profiles. And so we're going to talk about that real quick before we move on to the other things. So let's go to the Speaker.Bot website. And we're going to look at, this is the change log for version 14 here. And as you can see, they've added a few new features. We've added the voice gate, and we've also added the profiles. So we're going to come down here and we're going to look at voice gate and the profiles. Basically, you can save voice gate settings to different profiles, allowing you to switch between these settings easier. Now, Speaker.Bot, the companion bot to Speaker.Bot, the actual chat bot, is currently on version 2.3, but version 2.4 will have built-in sub-actions for Speaker.Bot to change between your profiles. Now, currently, as you saw on Speaker.Bot, we have the profiles, and we can add these settings to a new profile and name this like default. Right. And so there you are. And then we can change our settings a little bit. Say we want to move these back to what they were originally. We can save a new profile, and this will be new number 1 or whatever. And so now we can say, which one do we want? If I want to run this one, or if I want to run this one, we can say activate this profile, and it's all on right clicks. Let me zoom in again, just so you can see. So we've set the default one. This is what we had my settings at: 15%, 5%, 2 milliseconds. But if I want to go back to default, I can say activate here. And then now this is my threshold setting. You saw it change here. But what I want to do is I want to go back to this one. And so this is currently the only way to switch between profiles. But again, in the later version of Speaker.Bot, which is not released yet, version 2.4, we'll have sub actions where you can make this a command, a voice command, channel point redeem, even in any other way you want to trigger that, so that you can switch between your profiles one by one. Now, if you don't have any profiles, let's go ahead and delete both of these. If we delete these, then it's just whatever you have set here. Whatever you have set here will be what it uses. Okay, so you don't have to create a profile, but there are going to be instances where you may want to and that's going to happen. So if you are running Speaker.Bot and StreamerBot, when version 1.5 of Speaker.Bot and version 2.4 of StreamerBot are both released, you will have full control over everything. But for now, we get what we get, and it's really great, and I really like it. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the voice settings. Now, I remember in the setup video, when we were coming into the speech engines, I showed you how to add them in, and here we had, the ones that we had. The ones we added for the test were Amazon Polly, I think, and TTS Monster, and I think we added UberDuck. But UberDuck is a popular one, but there are a lot of problems with UberDuck. And I got a lot of comments on the other one, and you can go back and read through them if you want. Basically, UberDuck would stop responding, or it wouldn't load the voices, or it just wouldn't work. And the easiest fix was to log into your UberDuck account and create a brand new API and add that new API back into back into Speaker.Bot, and then try again. And 9 times out of 10, it would work. Now, UberDuck has had a lot of issues. In 2023, they went through and they deleted all of their AI voices. There was a lot of problems with that. And then they came back, and people like using UberDuck. I am not one of those people, but UberDuck's value is greatly diminished, and it's starting to go down. But Nate was able to find out what the problem was in the previous versions of Speaker.Bot for UberDuck not working. And basically that problem, as you can see in their changelog here. So the big problem with UberDuck was that it was loading over 1,000 voices, and they came from sources like Amazon Polly, Google, and the Azure Cognitive Services. But they were trying to load these external sources into UberDuck. And of course, Azure is already there. Google is already here. And so is Amazon Polly already included. And there was no singular API point for UberDuck to do this. We still don't know why UberDuck was doing this or is doing this. They're still currently doing that, but they're trying to load basically their service as well as these other 3 external services. But there's no endpoint on UberDuck's end to use the other 3 services, which was causing the dreaded loop. So what Nate has done with version 1.4 and 1.5 is he has removed those endpoints from the UberDuck service going into Speaker.Bot. So now when you load UberDuck, it should work a lot better, but you're only going to get the 27 voices that UberDuck has available. So please note, of those 27 UberDuck voices, there's at least 10 that don't work. They return a 500 internal server error, which basically means the website, UberDuck's website, can't find them. They're no longer there. Something is wrong in the coding. So you're only going to get about 15 to 17 voices. And because of all of the hassle and all of the problems that UberDuck has, Nate says he's also debating on removing UberDuck as a service from Speaker.Bot completely. So if you are currently using UberDuck, you may want to look into other ones like ElevenLabs, TTS Monster, things like that are going on. Speaking of ElevenLabs, we'll go ahead and go up here. ElevenLabs got a big update in version 1.4. So stability and similarity now work. And you can go ahead and read through all this if you want, but ElevenLabs never really had issues, but the voices match what they're supposed to on the website. So there was like a pitch issue with some of the ElevenLabs voices where, like, it was doing like, say Donald Trump's voice, for example, but it was really high pitched. And there was just a little issue with the way the wording from ElevenLabs and the wording that Speaker.Bot was using. So those have kind of been fixed now. So you shouldn't have any issues with those. So if you want to check that one out. But that's really the big changes that I wanted to cover. But we're going to go through not all of these, but I'm going to go through some of the things And feel free to come to the Speaker.Bot website, look at the change logs for Speaker.Bot, and you can go through all of them yourself in your own time. But let's capture the highlights. The Twitch broadcaster account has new scopes, and this is really big. This is going to be also released in StreamerBot because Twitch is getting rid of their pub sub. They're moving everything to the event sub. So the pub sub API part of the Twitch backend is being depreciated and removed completely. This is all Twitch is doing. So Nate is getting prepared for that by adding a lot of the new scopes for the Twitch broadcaster account, which is the information and variables and stuff that it pulls in for you as the broadcaster that used to come through on the pub sub API. He's moving them over to what they will be on the event sub so that everything will move. When Twitch does get rid of the pub sub, everything will still work seamlessly. So now you can also load your available emotes as a broadcaster when you log in. We've talked about the voice gate feature. There is a delete menu item to the user's context menu now in Speaker.Bot. So if we come in here, you'll see that there is on the users, you can actually come in here and we can delete them. So if you want, oh, I don't want this person in my chat anymore, somebody that's been banned or whatever, because we did talk about that list. Right. So the long list of the people that are not present, this is everybody that's ever been in your chat since you've had Speaker.Bot installed and active. And if there are some names in here that you don't want ever to show up, you can now delete them. So that works along with the banning and stuff like that that goes on the Twitch end, and you can bring that into Speaker.Bot as well. They've added a new option to ignore the Twemojis, which is a new emoji service, kind of like Better Twitch TV or 7TV. So Twimoji is now added in Speaker.Bot. You can ignore those as well. And then the voice gate profiles, as we talked about earlier, those have been added as well. And then as you can see, there are quite a few updates. We're not going to talk about all of them. Obviously, most of these are going to be back-end things that you're never going to need to deal with. There's going to be like performance tweaks, the updates to the emoji stuff. Some of the libraries have been renamed, things like that. One of the big one though is the 7TV server-side events handling, because 7TV has been having some issues. Nate was able to find some of those and fix them preemptively. So that's a really good thing. Also, we've changed some of the login stuff for if you have stream elements, like your stream elements, if you have those connected to your alerts. So tips, follows, things like that are coming through. They will work a lot better with Speaker.Bot now, and you actually have on your login, if we go in and take a look, go to settings, we'll go to accounts, and you go to stream elements. If you look here, instead of just having the blank login and log out, you also now have your client services that are listed separately, and you can disconnect from those without disconnecting from the service as a whole, which is really nice. And then, of course, the ElevenLabs stuff, the UberDuck stuff, and then some general tweaks, some auto update, restart handling, and like I said, backend stuff that you don't really need to know about. But if you're curious, it's all right here on the website again, and I'll post this link in the description below for you. And then Nate has been able to fix some things, some global features. You can clear past voices now without requiring a previous voice. And the big fix to UberDuck. And then, of course, all of these are explained in detail further down. So if there's something that you're interested in and you want to know about, it's right there, all on the website for you. Again, version 1.4 was released on the 5th of July, and it is the current stable version, but 15 will hopefully soon replace that. All right. So anyway, the big thing, voice gate. Get it, love it, use it. It's going to be a lifesaver for a lot of you, and this has been a feature that has been asked for a long time, and we're finally getting it. So I'm very happy to have it. And if you have any questions, just, hey, let me know. But let's go to it. Let's end this thing. And that's about it. Hopefully you got a lot out of this tutorial and learned how to use VoiceGate in Speaker.Bot properly. If you have any questions, any comments, if you saw something you liked or you didn't like, leave a comment below and let me know so that we can make these tutorials as good as possible. I try to be thorough, I try to be complete, and I try to be informative, but sometimes I miss something. So if I covered something too fast, something you didn't understand, or something you want to know about more detail, let me know. Drop a comment and let me know. If you like the video, hit that like button to show your support. I really appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, hi, welcome. Glad to have you here. And if you want to know when I post new content, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below as well, and you'll get notified when I post new tutorials for you. We are making some changes, so make sure you check out the full description below, because there's going to be some things coming up that are different and unique and new. So hopefully you like those moving forward. And as always, thank you again for being here. Enjoy VoiceGate in Speaker.Bot, and I can't wait to see what you all come up to do with it. So until next time, everybody, love, peace, and chicken grease.